Well, it looks like you're back for part 5 to learn about the next few pages, and that is 6 through 14 of our red camera icon. So again, these are your photo functions. So we're going to go through pages 6 through 14 on your menu system and learn about those. Let's do so, guys. AF Illuminator. So again, we talked about where the AF Illuminator is. It's right there. So it's going to put out a little bit of light, and it's going to try to illuminate the area so that you can see what to do as far as autofocus. So it may not need the illumination if, like right now, the lighting's really good on this table, right? So you're not going to need your AF Illuminator per se as you have enough light, but if it's darker, you're definitely gonna want it. So you can turn it off. I just leave it on auto, so when it thinks it needs it, it will use it. Center lock on autofocus. So that is grayed out, and that's probably because we don't have a lens attached set up for focus. So let's see if we throw a lens on here and we come back in here, it should. And we need to make sure that this lens is set to autofocus. So we can now auto lock it on or off. You can center auto lock your autofocus, which is fantastic. Set face priority in autofocus. So again, I like to leave the face priority on. It's actually pretty intuitive with this Sony camera. It works very well. And so as you can see, I have both of those on, face detection and face detection. So frame detection and face detection. So you can turn those on or off, but I like my faces to be pretty much in focus, and I like the camera to try to help me out with that. So that works. Autofocus track scene. So again, you have different responsive. This is super responsive on your autofocus. I really like having it at 5. However, if it's too responsive or over responsive, you can dial that down if you need to. Autofocus system. However, since I don't have a native Sony lens, it's not going to let me go in and pick through those settings, but mainly it just lets you pick, the different autofocus system you want to use, and then autofocus with shutter. So that means that it will automatically autofocus if I'm touching this. Again, remember we talked back button focus is what I use here, and so I'll hit this and it will lock focus until I hit it again. So if the subject moves, they will go out of focus until I re-hit this. So anytime you're going to be doing you're going to need to do a lot of focusing fast, and it's going to be constantly changing, I will go on and turn the autofocus with shutter. Like at a wedding, if there's a lot of movement, like they're walking down the aisle, I want it to re-autofocus as I'm taking pictures. So I'll actually go in and I'll turn the autofocus with shutter on. And now if I turn this on right here, you can see it trying to focus, even though it can't because it has a lens cap on it. Before, the only way you could autofocus if I turn this off is through the back here. So if I hit this button, it will try to focus here, but this will do nothing now, as you can see. So I always have that turned off most of the time, but when I do need it, I have that option. Moving on to the next system, which is 7, is your pre-autofocus. Again, you can turn your pre-autofocus on or off, and it kind of will pre-autofocus and then lock in and then take your picture. I start autofocus. Again, this is grayed out because I have a non-Sony lens attached to the camera at the moment. So if there was a Sony lens attached, then it would be able to use that. Autofocus area register. You can turn that on and off. So if you're registering a specific area that you want it to autofocus, you can kind of do that, and you can go in and delete that register right there. Autofocus area auto clear sets whether the focus area is displayed all the time or disappears automatically shortly after focusing. Display content autofocus area sets whether or not to display the autofocus area in continuous autofocus mode. Going on to 8 here, and it is the autofocus micro adjust. So this works with the LAEA2 or the LAEA4 mount adapter that is sold separately. So that's when you would use that. And again, this is grayed out because I don't have a native Sony lens attached. Again, I'm just using the Metabones with a Canon 24 pancake. So moving on to 9, exposure compensation. So if you want to go in and set an actual exposure compensation, and then you can go in and reset your EV comp, maintain or reset. Your ISO, that's very simple. And then your ISO minimum SS standard. Metering mode. So I have my metering mode to multiple, but you also have center and evaluate or spot, enter screen, and then highlight. So again, this is how it meters the colors, your grays within your shot. And so how it's going to give you different color, I guess a color look when you're shooting. I just do multi, but a lot of people also do center. So if you're shooting like a portrait, you want to switch over to center because that's going to pull the grays off the face and stuff and try to get it as evenly exposed as possible. And then you have spot standard, and then you can make it large. So depending on a specific spot that you want it to meter off of, you can do that. And then you can just meter the entire screen as an average. So if you're doing like a landscape, this may be best, or if there's a specific part of the landscape that you want to meter off of, you can do multi, or you can actually go in and use the spot large standard or large. So you can go in and set that depending on what you need. We could make a separate video about that if people want to leave enough comments saying that they would like to see that. We'll make one. Face priority and multimeter, so you can turn that on and off. So again, just setting face priority. Moving on to 10. Spot metering point. So you can pick the point, focus point link, or center. I just leave it with center. Exposure setup. ALE with shutter. So again, I have that set to auto. So it will ALE lock right there with shutter, or you can go on or off there. Exposure standard adjustment. So we can go into here, and there you go. This function adjusts a standard of optimum exposure, generally adjusted, is not necessarily adjusted. So we can go in and set up all of our adjustments with our spot metering if we have a certain way that we like to do it, where we push it over, under, exposed, according to what your settings are. Moving on to 11, fill flash. That's very simple, slow or rear curtain sync if you wanted to do that. Flass compensation, so again, how much do you want to compensate there with the flash? You have that option. Again, we'll hit menu here and go back down to 0. So ambient and flash, or just ambient only. I do ambient and flash. Wireless flash is on, and then red eye reduction, again, turned off. I don't know, if you actually, that normally would be turned on. I'm guessing, again, this is one of those things where I have to have a native Sony lens to talk to the camera, therefore allowing me to turn the red eye reduction on, which it normally is, because no one likes red eye. Honestly, though, I don't ever see any pictures with red eye anymore, so. White balance, so you can set auto, white, and you have your different white balances. Go through here, you have so many, you can actually change your white balance exactly how you want it right there. Under K, which is fantastic. Just hit the center button. You've locked that into 3400. But again, usually I just leave my white balance. Boom, auto white balance. That seems to work best for me most times. Priority set and auto white balance. So you also have ambience and standard. Oops, yep. No, and I like white. I don't know why, but I find that doing white, a lot of people just do the auto white balance standard. For some reason, I think white looks better, so I always pick white. You don't have to. There's a difference, and you can see it. DRO, auto, HDR. So if this were doing HDR photos, we can go in and set that up if we wanted to, and turn that on or off. Again, I just have it on off at the moment. Creative style. So you have different creative styles that will give you different looks, and you can go in and actually hit the side button here, and you can go in and actually set up different sharpnesses, saturation, and build your own style if you want. When taking pictures, I just leave it at standard, and then I go in and do the editing myself. But you also have vivid, neutral. So if you want to do neutral, even for video, being in neutral is going to allow you to bring in maybe some of the colors back in. That's pretty much what we shoot with S-Log2, and but we just leave it in normal or standard for the most part. So you can go in and change that if you want. Picture effect, that is turned off at the moment, and then picture profile. We have different picture profiles built depending on what type of lighting we're dealing with, especially for video. This really isn't for photos. And we could go in and go through all that, but that's a completely separate video to go in and talk about all my gamma and S-Log and how I have everything set up so that I can bring in the most color later on in post. So just to let you guys know, that would be a separate video that we could spend some time talking about if you guys leave comments down below. we could go in and kind of really break down our picture profile and why we use different picture profiles for different days, different settings, therefore getting the best quality color that we can bring back into the shot. Focus magnifier. Again, there's just your basic focus magnifier that if I had the lens shooting straight out right now, you would be able to actually see that. Focus magnifier time. Again, I don't have a time limit. Initial focus magnification, autofocus. So yes, we do have that turned on. Manual focus assist, we do have that turned on. And in peak settings. So again, I have that turned off. Peaking has to do with, say you're doing manual focus, and so you're manual focusing here. On the back of the screen, you could pick your color, as we can see here. So we have picked high and red. So the stuff that is in focus when it's turned on, and so I could go in and turn it on, and it would actually, and you can't see it because it's sitting on the screen, sitting straight on the table. But what happens is that it shows you what's in focus. So if we did this, and so what we'll do is we'll do this for you guys here. We'll take this off. And then what we can do is we make sure we've got it turned on. It's on red, and we go to manual focus. And if you notice, see all that stuff that goes red right here? Again, those are the zebras with the lines. Let me turn the zebras off for you guys. So let me go out. Zebras are off, and let me bring this ISO way down so you guys can see here. We'll bring the f-stop back up. All right, so if you notice, and I know you can't see probably that well, but the red right here, that's letting me know that's what's in focus in the shot. It's really, really nice. And you can just literally go into peaking settings and turn that on or off. I keep it on red. I really like red and I really like high, so it's gonna show me the most of what's in focus, and I find that to be very beneficial. So what we'll do is we'll take this off here, put that back on, and we're in manual focus at the moment, and then we'll flip this back up. And there you guys go. So moving on to our final thing, anti-flicker shoot. Yes, of course I want anti-flicker turned on, as you can see. Face registration, so if you want to register a face, you can go in and do that, especially if it's a face you're going to be shooting a lot of. Register face priority. Of course, it's going to give priority over those faces that are registered. Hey guys, thanks for stopping in and watching whichever part you just finished up. As always, there is a link right over here to the side that you can click. It will pop out, and then you can actually pick which part you want to watch if you haven't finished them all. And there is going to be a link at the end of this video. If you do happen to click on that link, that does give us a little bit of commission so that we can keep making these videos. And as always, guys, I'll catch you next time, and create better. Let's go. Well, it was a lot of fun teaching you guys about this camera body. If there's other camera bodies you'd like to learn about or other videos that you'd like to see here at Media Unlocked, please let us know, because we're here for you and we want to make content that you guys want to watch.